Nag-aagalak po ko isang malaking karangalan na nagbibigay ng suporta ang Party List Coalition Group dito. We look forward working together with the party list congressmen and women as well as our other fellow legislators to make the 19th Congress a very, very hard-working, efficient Congress working for the legislative agenda of the new President Bongbong Marcos administration.
We begin this week with Congressman Martin Romualdez. Romualdez has been receiving endorsements left and right from various parties and politicians for the speakership role in Congress.
Among the endorsements that Romualdez received came from former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Arroyo and Romualdez both belong to the political party Lakas CMD and were both instrumental in the campaign of the Marcos Duterte Unity. Time for the day's biggest headlines. I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Ed Lingao. You're watching The Big Story. Presumptive President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s cousin, Majority Leader Martin Romualdez, seems to have the House speakership role in the bag.
Should he be installed as the lower house's head, members of the minority have one request: allow their group to be led by a genuine member of the minority. Marian Enriquez with The Big Story.
The question on who will the next House Speaker be may have been settled already. Former President and Pampanga Congresswoman-elect Gloria Macapagal Arroyo backs House Majority Leader Martin Romualdez for the post. Romualdez himself is the current president of Lakas CMD. Aside from Arroyo, Romualdez has also been endorsed by political parties PDP Laban, National Unity Party, Nationalista, National People's Coalition, and the Party List Coalition Foundation.
Nag-aagalak po ko isang malaking karangalan na nagbibigay ng suporta ang Party List Coalition Group dito.
His cousin, Bongbong Marcos, has also endorsed Romualdez for the speakership post.
Ang ginawa ng tulong ng lakas at siyempre headed ng ating majority floor leader. Yulo looks to be set to be the next speaker.
Meanwhile, Albay 1st District Representative Ed Salagman called on the majority leadership to refrain from interfering on the minority leadership. Lagman claims this has been going on since the 17th Congress.
There was no real and genuine minority leader. And the minority was co-opted by the majority. This should not happen again. And I hope that the presumptive speaker, who used to be also in the opposition, should be able to recognize and respect the existence of even a handful minority members.
The minority has yet to come up with possible picks for its leadership. For Lagman, he will happily join the minority group. However, he said he will remain an independent opposition should there be interference from the majority bloc. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
While Majority Leader Martin Romualdez seems to have a strong shot at becoming House Speaker over in the Senate, two names have been popping up for the Senate President role. Gretch, who are these senators?
Well, Ed, Senator Cynthia Villar and Senate Majority Leader Mig Zubiri appear to be vying for the Senate President post. While nothing is certain yet, Senator Zubiri says he already had meetings with other senators. And for now, Zubiri says they are focusing on forming a supermajority bloc under the new administration. Both Zubiri and Villar are also mum on whether they are already trying to gather support. Aside from these two names, Senator Win Gatchalian also expressed his desire for the Senate presidency. These are the other big stories tonight. Despite the huge campaign rallies and sorties, Octa research says COVID-19 cases remain low a week after the elections. The Labor Department has issued a wage hike in Metro Manila and Western Visayas as the prices of goods continue to rise. And MRT3 is now allowing pets on board the train, but there are guidelines. These big stories after the break.
still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Although presumptive President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s cabinet has yet to take form, some personalities have expressed willingness to serve if asked.
But for a finance secretary, it would do Marcos Jr. some good if he retains President Duterte's economic managers. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza with the story.
A week after the May polls, a list of potential cabinet members under presumptive President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s administration is spreading online. Included in the supposed list is Philippine Nuclear Research Institute Director Dr. Carlo Arcilla. He was surprised to be named as the next head of the Science and Technology Department based on the list.
Wala pong official na ako mausap. Ang hirap naman, nakakaya naman kasi pag-presume na wala, baka marumor lang eh.
Professor Clarita Carlos was also in the list as the next Foreign Affairs Department Secretary. She said that she would be willing to serve if asked.
Even if I'm 76 years old, my whole professional life has been on foreign policy and defense and security. So if I'm asked, I'm going to serve.
But the Marcos camp maintains that they are still in the process of searching for members. So far, only presumptive Vice President Sara Duterte Carpio and former MMDA Chairman Abalos have been confirmed as secretaries for Education and the Interior Departments respectively. But are they willing to work with the opposition if it comes down to it? Spokesperson Attorney Vic Rodriguez said as long as they are competent. But while Marcos Jr.'s cabinet has yet to take form, former Finance Secretary Bobby De Ocampo advises the former senator to retain President Duterte's economic managers.
The Secretary of Finance, Sonny Dominguez. Now, if BBM can keep Sonny, that would be wonderful. If he can't, then he should pick somebody who has the same capability in managing our funds, so to speak.
Aside from Dominguez, De Ocampo also thinks NEDA Secretary Carl Chua and Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez should be in Marcos Jr.'s economic team. As uncertainties abound over Marcos's economic policies, the naming of his cabinet members, especially his economic team, might just help temper such anxieties. Mobile journalist Julie Baiza, We Are One News.
Meanwhile, Vice President Leni Robredo and her daughters are now in New York to attend the graduation of Robredo's youngest daughter, Jillian. In fact, photos of the family flying economy went viral. Supporters also greeted the Robredo family as they arrived at the John F. Kennedy International Airport. In an Instagram story, the Vice President can be seen going back to mommy duties as she ironed Jillian's toga. Now, according to Robredo, they will be using this time for a well-deserved rest after a challenging campaign season.
Comelec is set to proclaim the winning senators and party list by Wednesday. The poll body says it has finished canvassing 159 COCs and is only waiting for 14 more regions. Senators will not be ranked and will be proclaimed in alphabetical order. For party list groups, Comelec will only proclaim those that have at least 2% of the votes. Comelec says it is also waiting for the special elections in Lanao del Sur, which consists of more than 685,000 registered voters. While more areas have been placed under Alert Level 2, health experts and even the Octa research group note that COVID infections have been relatively tame even after weeks of massive election campaigning. Maricel Hili with the story.
It's official. Metro Manila will remain under Alert Level 1 until the end of May. This was the decision of the IATF despite the entry of the new Omicron subvariant in the country. Aside from NCR, 238 areas will also remain under Alert Level 1, or close to 60% of the country's total component cities and municipalities. Other areas, meanwhile, have been placed under Restrictor Alert Level 2. DOH Technical Advisory Group member Dr. Edsel Salvañas said that the placement of areas under Alert Level 2 has nothing to do with the new subvariant BA2.12.1.
More likely, ang hindi tinatamaan na metrics niyan for minimum vaccination of their population. Kasi alam naman natin, dapat at least 70% ng eligible population are vaccinated and higher, mga 80% para sa mga anong tawag dito, yung elderly po natin.
Octa Research Fellow Professor Guido David supported the decision of the IATF. David likewise pointed out that the number of active cases in the country remains low despite the aggressive political campaigns in the last few weeks.
Mababa pa rin yung positivity rate, nasa 1.1%. Actually, hindi pa nga siya tumataas. Sa buong Pilipinas yan. Tapos yung reproduction number natin nasa mga 0.6, ganun. So, hindi pa naman siya tumataas to greater than 1, so we're still okay.
Health experts, however, reiterate that the best way to fight the virus is by following minimum health protocols and to get vaccinated. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
For the big story in sports, the PBA has welcomed its newest batch of Cagers after concluding its 2022 draft. First pick, Brandon Ganuela's roster goes to Blackwater. Terrafirma made a gamble on injured Jeremiah Gray with its number 2 pick. Converge, meanwhile, went for the 2 tallest locals in the pool, picking Geo Ambohot and Justin Aranya. And to wrap up the first 5 picks of the draft, rain or shine went ahead with Ateneo captain Gian Mamuya. Prior to the draft, Gilas head coach Shot Reyes announced that draft prospects such as Justin Aranya, Gian Mamuyak, Sean Ildefonso, and Jaime Gomez Del Llano were selected as part of the national team's pool in its build-up for the 2023 FIBA World Cup. Now over in the NBA, the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks will move to the NBA Eastern and Western Conference Finals after dominating their Game 7 matches today. After being down 3-2 in the series, the Celtics would storm their way back to take the series from Giannis Antetokounmpo and the rest of the Bucks. Grant Williams was their hero of the night for Boston, hitting 7 threes to push Boston to a massive 109-81 victory. Now over in the West, the Mavericks completely dominated the Suns in a 123-90 knockout win in Game 7. Luka Doncic scored 35 points while Spencer Dinwiddie added 30 as Dallas advanced to the Western Conference Finals for the first time since 2011. Time for another quick break. When we return, daily minimum earners are set to see at least a 33 peso increase in their pay as the Labor Department approves the wage hike in Metro Manila and Western Visayas. And pets allowed, but only if they wear diapers. We run through the guidelines of the MRT3's new pet policy after the break.
still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The DTI-approved price increases in some basic goods are hurting the budget of some consumers.
While the Labor Department has approved a wage hike in Metro Manila and Western Visayas, will this be enough to help offset the rising cost of goods? Gerald de la Peña with the story.
While doing her grocery for a small sari-sari store in Quezon City, Lani noticed that prices of some items have increased.
Malaking epekto kasi solo parent ako eh. O napakahirap mag-budget lalo na pag wala kang budget.
Effective last week, prices of some basic goods have gone up after the DTI approved manufacturers' requests. Based on the DTI's new price bulletin, prices of certain brands of canned sardines, instant noodles, instant coffee, batteries, and laundry detergent went up by 2 to 5%. Prices of certain brands of processed milk went up by 2% to as much as 10%. Even the price of salt went to as much as over 10%. Prices of bread, bottled water, and condiments likewise went up. The DTI said that manufacturers argued that prices of tamban, among other raw materials, went up by as much as 30%.
Hindi na natin rin mapigilan because of the increase in the prices of raw materials. A lot of these materials are imported. Siyempre, yung cost of importation nila kasama na aside from the cost ng produkto mismo na binibili nila pagdating dito.
Castelo said that they have coordinated with the wage board to cushion the impact of price increases. The Labor Department recently announced that workers in Metro Manila will see their wages increase by 33 pesos a day. A wage hike is also due in Western Visayas. But for a household help like Sonia, the added pay does little to offset the rise in commodity prices.
Pipiliin yung mura muna para magsakto yung pera na hawak natin para mabili lang yung kailangan. Kulang pa rin.
Bakit po?
Kasi madadagdagan pa rin yung bilihin. Tapos pamasahe pati.
The DTI said consumers can still go for cheaper options since the price increases only apply to certain brands. They also assured the public that any petition for price increases will pass through the agency's scrutiny. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, We Are One News.
And good news for motorists and operators, petroleum prices will see a rollback on Tuesday. Diesel prices will be trimmed by 3 pesos and 10 centavos per liter and gasoline by 40 centavos per liter. Kerosene prices, meanwhile, may go down by 2 pesos and 10 centavos per liter. The price rollback takes effect on Tuesday. Diesel in Metro Manila currently ranges from 71 pesos to 82 pesos per liter, while gasoline and kerosene can cost up to more than 80 pesos per liter.
Another big story in sports. Team Philippines continues to show its dominance in the 31st Southeast Asian Games with another strong outing on Monday. Let's check out the rundown of today's medal haul in my report.
First attempt, EJ Obiena of the Philippines. No problem.
The country continues its strong showing in the 31st Southeast Asian Games.
That's even cleaner.
Monday started off with the Philippine bowling team finally regaining glory in the competition. Merwin Tan struck gold in the men's singles event, ending the country's 11-year quest for a gold. He had a score of 1,292, edging Yanafon Larparat of Thailand, who scored 1,286.
He's pressing a different way right now.
Over in basketball, the Gilas women's 5-on-5 basketball campaign was off to a rousing start after a resounding win over Indonesia 93-77. Meanwhile, the men's basketball team escaped with a 76-73 victory over Thailand. Olympian Kaloy Yulo, meanwhile, just copped his 4th and 5th gold medals. As expected, he stamped his class in vault, putting on another dazzling display as he tallied an average of 14.7 to cruise to the gold. Yulo then reigned in the men's horizontal bar after finishing tied with Vietnam bet Din Puong Tan for the gold. Lastly, Philippine dance sport partners Sean Misha Aranar and Ana Leonila Nuala danced their way to another gold medal, this time in Viennese waltz. The Philippines is expected to secure more medals in the coming days of the 31st Southeast Asian Games. Gretchen Ho, We Are One News. With the recent gold medal wins of our Filipino athletes, the country's total medal count is now at 101. Of that number, 27 are gold medals. 32, meanwhile, are silver medals, while 42 are bronzes. More medals are expected to come in the way of the Philippines in the next few days.
Ayos, pwede na raw sumakay si Bantay.
Sino? Sinong bantay?
Spot, sige. Parang siya si Spot. Okay, MRT management announced on social media they will now allow pets inside trains. Ayun si Bantay.
Yun pala. But for parents,
Hindi blue guard.
must take note of a few guidelines before bringing their furry friends along in their commute. Dogs and cats must wear a diaper and must be inside an enclosed pet carrier. The carrier must not exceed 2 feet by 2 feet in size.
The train line also reminds pet owners to fill out a waiver before entering the train.
Ang dami naman requirements, parang hassle pa din eh.
Kesa naman mag-wavy siya dun sa ano, di ba?
So, 2x2 ang malinaw. 2x2. May pet ka ba?
Marami akong pets.
So, anong klaseng pets?
Malilit lang naman sila, pero hindi sila kakasya.
Pwede. Ayan. So, 2x2, wag 3x2, basta 2x2.
Yung asong parang longganisa yun.
Para lang madali ang buhay, huwag mo na lang dalhin. Well, that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And get vaccinated, Philippines. On behalf of Robbie Lampay, I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. We are One News. Have a good evening.